This is a story that had happened to me long time ago. It happened 1 year after my grandfather passed. He had been like a father to me, because he and my grandmother raised me from the time when I was a baby girl. So his loss hit me hard. I started to run regularly because it kept my mind sane. Running heals. Sports can be indeed a little bit of therapy sometime. It was Friday evening. Another week was nearly over and I eagerly wanted to get rid of the tension at work. The crisp evening air clung to my skin as I stretched by the park entrance, the dry scent of autumn leaves drifting through the wind. My muscles hummed, anticipating the run ahead. As a dedicated runner, I thrived on these evening workouts, finding solace in the steady rhythm of my feet hitting the pavement and the cool air filling my lungs. Tonight, like so many nights before, the world outside the park felt distant, unimportant. It was just me, the path, and the thrill of the run. I wasn't afraid. My city was a safe city. It was safe running in the streets, no matter what time. The sun had long since dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a dim twilight that seeped into the early darkness. The sky above was a velvety stretch of stars, and the trees lining the path were skeletal, their once vibrant leaves crinkling underfoot like a carpet of memories from a more colorful season. I set my pace, and the familiar sound of my running shoes hitting the ground became immediately a comforting rhythm. I wore my best gear, lightweight, reflective, and sleek, making me feel like I could outrun the night itself. The air, cooler than usual, bit at my cheeks, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. My mind drifted, as it often did when I ran, to the upcoming marathon in 2 weeks. I had been training relentlessly since my grandfather passed, pushing my limits with every run. It was always about the finish line, never about running times. I wanted eagerly to finish the marathon. As I picked up my pace, something odd pricked at my senses. A strange sensation, like eyes watching me from the shadows. I glanced around, my breath fogging the air and my glasses, but I saw nothing. Just the silhouettes of barren trees and the dim glow of distant streetlights. I brushed it off, attributing it to my overactive imagination. Actually, I was used to running at night, and despite the deserted path, I had never felt uneasy before. Tonight, though, something was different. The wind picked up swirling leaves in tiny cyclones at my feet, and I felt an inexplicable chill crawl up my spine. I glanced behind me, my heart rate quickening, but there was no one there. It was just me, alone with the darkness, the distant hum of traffic on the main road, the only sound beyond my own breathing. When I ran at night, I never listened to music. I wanted to be aware of my surroundings. A flash of light caught my eye. My breath hitched. Far up ahead, just where the path bent towards the main road, headlights gleamed, throwing long shadows across the ground. I blinked. A car moving fast swerved onto the running path. My heart pounded as I realized it wasn't slowing down. The vehicle, a dark jeep, roared through the night, its engine a beastly growl that shattered the stillness. My body reacted before my mind did. I leaped to the side, my foot catching a loose patch of gravel, sending me sprawling toward the edge of the road. The car zoomed past, missing me by centimeters, the gust of wind from its passing throwing my hair across my face. My palms scraped against the cold asphalt as I tried to push myself up, but my body felt heavy, weighed down by the adrenaline crashing through my veins. Breathing heavily, I turned to watch the car's taillights disappear into the night. My body trembled, my heart still in my throat. How close had I been to death? I closed my eyes, trying to calm myself, but the world around me seemed to spin, the shadows thicker, darker. "Are you all right?" a man's voice asked, soft and deep. I jolted, my eyes snapping open. Coming out of the blue, a man was standing beside me, his face shrouded by the dim light. He was tall, his presence commanding, yet strangely calming at the same time. I hadn't seen him approach, hadn't even heard footsteps. I think so, I stammered, clutching my scraped palms. Where did you come from? The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he crouched behind me, his gaze lingering on the spot where the car had almost hit me. There was something unsettling about him, but not in the way a stranger might be. His features were sharp, yet there was a softness to his eyes, as though he held the weight of centuries behind him. His dark long coat fluttered lightly in the breeze, and for a brief second I thought I saw something glimmer behind him. He wore a hat, exactly like the one my grandfather used to wear. I think he was around 55 or something like that. You were very lucky, the man said finally, his voice low. The car missed you by mere centimeters. I know, I muttered with a shaky voice. I didn't even hear it until it was almost on me. He nodded, his gaze distant. You shouldn't be running this late, he said. Something about his tone made me pause. It wasn't a warning, it was more like a fact, like he had known all along that danger would find me. I tried to scan his face, to place him, but I couldn't. He seemed familiar in a way that made no sense, like a figure out of a half-forgotten dream. Who are you? I asked, standing up slowly, brushing dirt from my knees. The man followed my movements, rising gracefully. He smiled, a sad, almost melancholic smile. Raluca, you know who I am. My stomach twisted at the sound of my name. I hadn't told him that. The man took a step closer, his presence enveloping me like the night itself. I've been with you for a long time. Every run, every race, every mile you push yourself to the edge. I've watched, always ready to catch you before you fall. His eyes softened, and again I saw the faintness flicker of something behind him, shimmering in the darkness. My breath caught in my throat. The air seemed to grow heavier around me, the world narrowing until it was just the two of us, the night pressing in like a cloak. I wanted to say something, but the words stuck in my throat as the truth of it washed over me. He was right. In some deep, inexplicable part of my soul, I knew. All those times I had felt eyes watching me on my runs, the inexplicable moments of safety when I should have fallen, the strange sense of calm during races. He had been there all along. The man watched my reaction with quiet understanding. You weren't supposed to be hurt tonight. I couldn't let that happen. I swallowed, my mind spinning. Why did you show yourself? I catched myself saying. His gaze flicked to the road where the car had vanished. The danger tonight was different. I couldn't stay hidden. If I hadn't intervened, that car wouldn't have stopped. I shivered, the weight of what could have been sinking in. But why are you protecting me? He smiled again, a soft, knowing smile. Because you have more miles to go, more races to run. Your story isn't over yet. The wind picked up again, rustling the leaves. For a moment, everything felt surreal, like I was caught between two worlds. The ordinary life I had known and something far beyond it. I looked up at him, trying to make sense of the moment. I wanted to ask him if I would ever see him again, but the words were stuck in my throat. I didn't feel fear. I felt very safe in the presence of that man, of that guardian angel of mine. His expression softened, and for the briefest second I thought I saw the flicker of wings again, dark and ethereal. Perhaps, he said, as if he was answering a question I haven't been able to ask. And with that he turned, disappearing into the shadows as quickly as he had appeared. I just stood there, my heart still racing, the night around me somehow feeling different. I wasn't sure what had just happened, but I knew one thing for certain. I would never ever run alone again.